Good morning. This is John Bagacco with the Public Regulation Commission, Legal Division Acting Director. And I've have the pleasure of being here this morning to have what we've styled as a town hall between Melody Ranch and its customers out there. And I see we have a lot of people, it looks like, online, and we do have some people here in person. If you'll just bear with me and give me a little more time here, because I'm waiting on Melody Ranch's counsel, Mr. Domenici, to show up. So let's give him he may be here. Mr. Domenici's here. So we'll convene and get started here in a few moments. Just please bear with me. Thank you. All right, thank you for bearing with us. We do have an hour set aside for this. This is running from 12 p.m. to 1 p.m. As I said earlier, looks like we have quite a few people attending via the Zoom option. We also have some folks here in person. And basically, to remind everybody, this town hall has been convened primarily to comply with the Commission's September 8th, 2025 order, which, among other things, required that Melody Ranch and staff shall together organize a time and place at the first feasible opportunity for Melody Ranch to update the customers on the status of its water availability and the outlook for restoring service. So to that end, and without any further ado, I would pass the mic to Ms. Tracy Padilla, who's a principal at Melody Ranch, and she's accompanied by our counsel, Mr. Pete Domenici, and I thank them for being here today. So please take it away.
Hello there. Hopefully everyone can hear me. Again, my name is Tracy Padilla. I represent Melody Ranch. And currently, we are trying to do the best that we can with what is in the well. At the beginning of this journey, we took us some time to figure out what was the problem. And, you know, after going through everything on our side, And typically finding, leaks, on customer properties and whatnot, we usually can get situations like this under control. And this time was not the situation, unfortunately. And so then when we then found that our pump needed to be lowered and there was no more well to lower it into, we were then advised to just downsize the pump and put it there at the bottom and hope and pray we can get anything and everything that's still there at that bottom of the well. Then from that time on, we've been overwhelmed with trying to find a way to drill. And we've gotten through many of the processes and haven't gotten anywhere on the most important processes. And so we have put you guys on this schedule, we've kind of gone back and forth, whether it be gravity fed or pump fed, because it does depend on the pressure on your end. And so we get some communications that people want it longer hours, but less pressure. Some want it shorter hours, more pressure. And so we've tried, both ways, with the minimal that we have. And I know none of it is satisfactory. So now currently we are on the pressure fed. We've been able to regulate it better. And the tank is pretty much full to the top when we start. And then when we release, it brings it down. But in the time off, we're able to gain back that. So we're able to maintain that supply and demand with the structure that we have established now. Is it, the solution to all things? No. But it is, we're putting our best effort forward. So once we realized we can't move forward, I personally started meeting with EMWT before I was aware that the state was meeting with EMWT on, them taking over, them coming in and drilling. Bobby and I have been meeting. Actually, I just finished receiving text from him this morning. So I've been working with them. So, and of course, though, the state brought up other entities, EPCOR and other situations, about connecting lines. We've entertained all the avenues, anything. We're looking at the quickest and the fastest because, that's what we all want. I know our communication has not been the best. I do, between Rich and I, the office employee and myself, we've been overwhelmed. And there's no excuse. I'm just going to say that. We've been trying to find a result and then just, through our voicemails and whatnot, and as many calls as we were taking and face-to-face communications and whatnot, we were feeling like the information was getting around, and things were changing so quickly. And again, we were overwhelmed. Again, no other excuses that, we definitely have lagged in the communication. We've been talking to the state, and so we are. They set this meeting, which we knew the final information yesterday, so it gave us very little time, but we did send out a mailing that may or may not be significant because how many people actually get that before today, right? But we went ahead and sent it. We then went through the email avenue, trying to get as many emails. We have over half the emails currently. And so we're continuing to work on that so we can also continue to communicate through emails, which would be easier. Of course, we always, and I believe everyone has established from day one that the county line feed is a source of communication. They brought that idea to us and we agreed right from the beginning. So that's always been, anything, we update them first so that they can relay the messages. But then, any meetings, we're willing to hold, and any other ideas that people have, that may be quicker but whether through an email, we'll start weekly type communications. And at this point, again, we're going with EMT. We're providing them all the help, and information and, whatever they need from us, to move forward as quickly as possible to drill and get water.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Pete Domenici, And I just want to give a little of the background for what Melody Ranch is trying to do. So Melody Ranch is a regulated private water utility. The rates that they charge all of you are regulated by the Public Regulatory Commission. Any major capital expenditures that they would try to establish and then expend would have to probably come from the ratepayers. And this is not uncommon. There are small private utilities that at some point in their existence have a major capital requirement. In this case, it's something pretty common to the East Mountains, which is the water table is dropping. So existing wells, while they might be functional, they don't have enough water that they intercept to have a reliable supply. In those cases, from a well and water supply standpoint, the organization has the option to deepen that well, try to drill a new well, and in some cases, try to hook onto someone else's water system. In this case, drilling the well is really not practical. Deepening the well is not practical. Most drillers don't like to do that. That's a very risky process. It's just as expensive as drilling a new well. Hooking on to another system is probably not cost effective. The closest system is the City of Moriarty. That's probably 3,000 feet extending their water line. That's probably a good backup and a good contingency plan. But the most realistic way to restore the volume of water that you all are used to is drilling a new well. That requires probably doubling the depth of the well from 280 feet down to about 600 feet. Drilling a well of that depth that meets the requirements to be the main drinking water supply is probably a $50,000 to $100,000 cost. And there's 78 members, so you could see if that were divided as a capital cost between you, if that were the only option, then it could be a significant payment from each user to get over that capital cost, and then you would be back to sort of the operating arrangement you may be familiar with. You have a good system for delivering the water. You have a good storage tank. Those can also be capital intensive, but those don't look to be a problem. But what is helpful is there is a regional utility that is set up to take over and receive a transfer of a water system like yours. It's EMWT. They've done this for other utilities in the East Mountains. They are a political subdivision, so they're eligible for funding from a much broader range of sources than Melody Ranch. Generally, what they require is that the system be in good working order. In order to verify that, they commission an engineering study. They have Bohannon Houston on contract. They've just done this recently for another system. So their engineering and evaluation looks at the distribution lines, looks at the tank capacity, and makes sure that they're not stepping into a system that has a lot of deferred maintenance or inoperable facilities. They know that there's a water supply issue. They will be evaluating the cost to drill a well. Tracy's already done that, but they will redo that. They are very interested in accepting a transfer of the Melody Ranch private utility into their political subdivision regional utility. They're engaged right now in their due diligence of having their engineers do a technical memorandum looking at the distribution system, the storage capabilities, and then also the cost to drill a replacement well. If that report comes back positive, they will continue to be interested, and they will actually take that engineering report and use it as a basis to apply for funding from the one of the funds the Environment Department assists with. That would, and then if they seem like it's likely they will get that funding, the process would be that Melody Ranch would enter a memorandum to transfer all of its assets to them. The assets include water rights, which are valuable. There's probably more than sufficient water rights. Generally, the water rights, from my review, Melody Ranch uses about 60 to 70% of the water rights that they own. Previously, when they were at full capacity, so they have a good amount of water rights. They would transfer all of the pipelines, the storage tank, all of the infrastructure, and EMWT would take over the operations. They would then use funding they obtain through a grant process to try to drill a replacement well. Generally, replacement well permits can be issued on an emergency basis by the state engineer, provided you have water rights, which Melody Ranch or EMWT has or will have. And so there's a pretty optimistic path forward to transition all of the members of this system onto a regional water utility that has more wherewithal, has expertise, has a good track record, has the ability to obtain funding from funding sources that Melody Ranch can't, which would alleviate that burden from the members of having to come up with that capital cost. That process realistically could take as much as 6 months before a new well would actually be drilled, maybe even a little more. And that's quick, given the requirements for engineering analysis, and then to obtain the funding, then to hire a driller, get the driller to be permitted, get the well drilled. And so most likely, the members will be needing to function with the levels of water that the well is producing at a steady rate. So the well is producing steadily about 4 to 5 gallons a minute. That's probably about 40% of what the system produced at its maximum. But it's likely that will be the amount of water. It probably shouldn't go down unless there's some failure, which could be fixed, some leak or something like that. Generally, the water demand goes down in the winter, so that and it's already going down this fall. The more that the members can reduce their demand, the more water there is to go around to everyone, and the closer to a fuller supply we'll have if the use goes down or the demand goes down. But that's the plan. I think there's a pretty good chance it will be successful, and there will be a transition. The PRC would have to sign off on that transition in what they call an abandonment proceeding, where they allow Melody Ranch to transfer its assets to another entity who takes over. So there's a PRC approval process that has to be accomplished that can probably be done fairly quickly when everything else is lined up. And that's I think what the future has in store for the members of this system. I'm pretty new to this. I've only been engaged probably about 3 weeks. The PRC has been very active. They're very familiar with this. The Environment Department is very familiar with this system. And so far, and EMWT is also very familiar. Everybody seems to be rowing in the same direction, working towards the same goal. Other people may have more information to shed on the processes I've described. They may view them differently, and certainly they can, state how they see things. But I think that's how Melody Ranch views the prospects for this system. Thank you, John.
Thank you. And the only thing I would have to add, well, first of all, I believe that's an accurate outline or recitation of generally what is embraced right now by everybody's coordinated efforts. I would add that EMWT, and that's Estancia, Moriarty, Willard, and Torrance Water Association, the political subdivision, is uniquely and I think practically poised to factor into a physical solution to this problem. That said, they do have to do their due diligence. And so part of the reason why they have to do the technical analysis to support a technical memo is not only to facilitate and realize the practical engineering aspects and everything else that goes into assessing, rehabbing, and improving a water distribution system, storage tank, and a new source, is also that technical preliminary engineering analysis is necessary to support and inform their application to the Drinking Water State Revolving Fund. That is something that's thoroughly familiar to funding experts at NMED. And so we've got them working together. They know a whole lot more about that than I do. I am, as Mr. Domenici indicated, counsel for the legal division at the Public Regulation Commission. And so the scope of our regulatory jurisdiction and activities doesn't often intersect with what I see necessary to forming solution on the part of NMED and EMWT. That said, I'm in contact with those folks all the time, and I trust and believe in their ability and their acumen to come forward with a solution that hopefully will fit. But you have to remember, and this is the caveat that I have to add, EMWT is still assessing this. When we get to the point where EMWT will officially sign on, I'll be happy to inform everybody. I will include that in a status report that I'm required to file with the commission, but I'd be happy to communicate it any and all other ways. And I would expect and hope that that would be something that would feature in Melody Ranch's communications with its customers going forward, which I think should be more formalized and routine in mode and content after today's town hall meeting. And I stand ready to assist them in terms of how that may be formatted or realized or executed, but I think we have a good start here. So with that, I would turn the floor over to anybody else who has any questions or wants to hold up their end of this town hall communication with their utility. And I'd ask that people please be respectful and try to limit your questions or your comments, hopefully to about 3 minutes, because we're coming up on halfway through this town hall meeting. And as I said, this is a nascent effort to facilitate communications, and I hope that it will be more productive going forward, but this is a great start. So I yield the floor. Perhaps we can start with the people who are in the room if they have any comments or questions. And as I said, if you would, please keep it to at least 3 minutes and come up and grab one of those microphones and we can continue our conversation. Thank you. Mr. Sanchez, thank you for coming today. This is Bruce Sanchez. He's going to take a seat momentarily and he'll have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Bagaco. It's been a pleasure working with you on this problem since we've had it. My name is Bruce Sanchez. I've lived in Melody Ranch for about 30 years. And yes, there is anger among all of our residents. And because we have not had any communication. This water company has failed to communicate with its customers of the problem with this water system. We've been going through this now for 4.5 months with no communication, except for a flyer that's put up on mailbox clusters. I get my mail in Edgewood. I don't get my mail at the mailbox. clusters. So again, I have no communication. The only communication I get is when I have to call to find out when we're going to be privileged to get water. I've heard excuses from the answer machine and received all the information regarding this water system from NMED, the PRC, the US EPA, just to name a few. There's been statements that were made that says that there's been communication with the residents, but what communication? There's no communication when you're talking or you're listening to an answer machine. That's not communication. That's like me calling somebody up and, sorry, I'm not here right now, but leave a message and I'll try and call you back. There was a statement made in Monday's meeting that Rich gets an average of 200 phone calls a day. How is that possible? There's only 77 homes. Are we calling 3 times a day? I don't think so. This company deserves a little bit more respect. Or the residents deserve more respect from this company. After the undue torture that we've had to put each resident, not to mention the health risks your customers have had to endure, and have forced every resident from age infant to 95 years old having to learn survival skills. That's totally unacceptable. But no, to top everything off, you bill each household and a business with the same amount of cases with more than the water service was not interrupted. Meaning, my bill last month for 2,220 gallons of water usage was the same as when before this nightmare happened at 4,300 to 4,500 gallons of water usage for a month for 3 people. That's still not very much water, but why is the bill the same? It makes absolutely no sense. I think the community needs an explanation from Meldoy Ranch Water why the PRC annual reports say that you are pumping an average of 40 gallons of water per minute. And then in a letter from NMED dated July 29 and 25, the statement it states that the well was previously rated at 15 gallons and is now only producing 5 gallons. We can see that because there is a major pressure problem. Then documentation that's turned in on the annual reports that we can see from 2011 to 2024 that have an average water loss of about 425,000 gallons per year to the local fire departments. And in the last 30 years that I've lived in Meldoy Ranch, thank God there hasn't been a fire, nor have I seen any kind of an emergency of that nature. This is a question that I posed to NMED and to US EPA. The answer that was given is highly unlikely. Explain to the residents that have a mortgage on their homes, and insurance companies are now questioning the lack of water because of the lack of fire suppression in our community, and why rates are going to be going up or possible cancellations from those insurance companies. And you know as well as I do, having a mortgage, you have to have insurance. And winter's coming. It snowed last night in Colorado Springs, so it's getting closer. We know that Meldoy Ranch Water pays an insurance. As of last year, their insurance was $4,722 that they paid. And that's on the annual report as well. With that money that is being paid for insurance, is that going to cover broken pipes? The pressurization that's been going on, off and on, off and on, off and on. Pipes aren't designed to have pressure, then nothing. Pressure, then nothing. Same thing with the meters.
Mr. Sanchez, we're a little bit over 3 minutes. Do you
Okay.
care to give us a quick summation? If not, I'm happy to also assist you in filing any written comments you'd like
Okay.
to be entered into the record.
Last
the
thing,
case.
real quick, if you want that respect, do what's right. Transfer this water system to a company that's ready, able, and has the means to get our residents water. From what I understand, in talking to the PRC, NMED, and Torrance County, EMWT is ready to take things over and make this water system work. Please share all the information that you have with EMWT so that this can be done as quickly as possible. Thank you.
Mr. Sanchez, thank you. And I'm sorry I had to be that guy with the timer. Anybody else in the room who would like to make a public comment or ask a question or two, please come up to the front. And it looks like we have Mr. Steve Sassnow. Mr. Sassnow, thank you for coming today.
Thank you. So if I was understanding this correctly, realistically, if things fall into place, hopefully as they should, we're 6 months out? Is that correct?
Probably 4 to 6 months out would be realistic, and that's expedited. A full-blown engineering study takes 6 months. The funding agency as well as EMWT have agreed to use an abbreviated engineering study, which is about a 45-day process. I think our understanding is the engineers were supposed to submit that scope of work to EMWT so they could agree to fund that study last week, which would have probably kicked off that 45-day time period.
Okay.
So I think realistically, that technical memo, which is the foundation for getting everything to fall in place, is probably 45 days or so from now.
So
Other things are moving in parallel. They're not waiting for that. So the pre-application process for funding is also underway. Melody Ranch has provided as-built drawings to EMWT, so those can be transmitted to the engineers. Melody Ranch has offered to make the operator available whenever the engineers want to come to the property, because part of their due diligence will be a physical inspection or more.
But if that is then indeed a realistic time frame, which it does sound like it is, then we need some kind of contingency plan for the upcoming winter. It's right around the corner, like Bruce had mentioned. The snow is coming, that cold weather is coming. It could be next month where we're literally below freezing. What do we do? These are all manufactured homes. They're either 6 inches above the ground, 3 feet above the ground. We have exposed plumbing, not to mention the infrastructure itself. What are we supposed to do? I mean, I think that's something we need to work on like yesterday as well, but I'll leave that alone. My last comment was Tracy had mentioned something about them being overwhelmed, I guess with phone calls. You know, it's overwhelming. It's not being able to take a shower when you get home from work. It's overwhelming to haul water from a tanker to your own home when you want to wash the dishes. It's overwhelming when family members can't come from out of state to visit because we don't have any water. That's overwhelming. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Sassnow. Anybody else in person who would like to make a comment or pose a question, please come up. If not, I think we would switch over to our online attendees. And Phil, how would you propose to handle that? Should we, I guess, first come, first serve? Phil, how do we usually do this? Okay. All right, Phil, I will leave it to your discretion then to.
Good afternoon, John. What I will do is for those online who are on Zoom virtually, if you could raise your hand through the Zoom application, I'll know that you would like to speak. You could do that. There's an option at the bottom called titled React, and then you could raise your hand virtually that way. If not, you could go get on camera and then kind of just raise your hand, and I'll be able to see you. And then I'll start going from top to bottom. So first one, I have Roy McClellan.
Yes, thank you for letting me speak. First, I want to say that when you say communication and need means of communication, that means of communication I strongly feel that should be used is the U.S. Postal Mail Service. Crud, you send out all of our bills through the mail. We get our bills every month. Why can't we get a letter or a notice or some sort of communication from this company stating, what is going on instead of leaving everybody in the dark? Don't leave just voicemail messages on your machine, like Bruce had stated. That's inadequate. We shouldn't have to call in. The second thing is regarding the schedule. We need to have a set schedule. None of this sporadic. If you're going to have a schedule, have it set schedule. None of the sporadic times, dates and times. That also has prohibited us from living our lives, being able to go out and plan things and be able to do things, because we have to plan it around when we may come and get water. And you're planning and you're turning this water on in the middle of the day or early in, and then what we do, we can't even, mow our lawns because we've already taken a shower or whatnot and cleaned up for the day. When you set your schedule for middle of the day, it really puts a hamper on everybody else's schedule and our lives. We literally set our lives aside because of this situation. Mr. Domenici, you had spoke about all the things that needs to be done and all the good things that we have to do and all the planning and all the requirements that need to be met. Meet them. We need actions, not words. We need this done. Okay? Sitting on our hands and giving basically lip service to everybody out here saying this what needs to be done, this has to be done, we're doing this, we're doing that. Well, let's do it. I'm a man of action. I spent 23 years in the Army. Okay? I have lived by a motto of results, not reasons. Okay? Water company, the EMWT had a board meeting last night, and a few of our residents attended that. They requested paperwork 2 weeks ago, from the water company to provide them, and nothing has been provided. Okay? There is a negligence, a due diligence that is not being met. I'm tired of the excuses. I'm tired of the reasons. Why don't you just turn over the rights that needs to be done? Let EMWT, who has the means and the capability and funding to get the job done. Okay? Fall on your sword, Melody Ranch Water Company. Fall on your sword. Go lick your wounds and be done with it. Turn over the rights. Get it done. All right? None of this. Stop with all the word and feeding everybody a bunch of bull crap. All right? The residents are tired of hearing it. All right? Just lick your wounds, admit that you're a failed company, and move on. Turn it over to the EMWT, ones who have the funding, the means, and the engineers and the experience to be able to maintain and be able to run this water company the way it should. When you have a meter reader going down looking at the tank, and this guy has no formal education and training, going down and looking at the tank and determining whether or not we meet the criteria to have water that day. That is unacceptable. I yield back.
Mr. McClellan, thank you. Jordan, next.
Next is going to be Dana Curley. Thank you.
Wait, let me show her this. Hi, I'm Dana Curley. I'm a newer resident of Melody Ranch. I am so frustrated. I'm There's so many families, I'm sure, and I'm a single mom. I'm sure there's other single parents in our community. It's really hard to bathe my child at night to go to school. And on Tuesdays and Thursdays, I have to figure out where I'm gonna bathe my child for school. Um, it's so frustrating to tell my little girl, we can't shower in our own home. We can't flush toilets. You know, we have pets and livestock. We have to give water every day. Um, it's cruel. It's inhumane. Um, and are we gonna get paid back? I had to buy, um, cooling air units, window units this summer because inside my house, it was 93 degrees at some point. High 80s, low 90s inside my home. We have swamp coolers. I can't get water to my swamp cooler to cool my house with me and my 5-year-old child. Are we going to get reimbursed for any of that? And as people were saying, it's winter. What are we going to do when our pipes burst? Water heaters are going out. It's beyond frustrating. It's inhumane. It's unlivable. And for those of us who have children, I'm sure the elderly, the sick, there's people I know in the community who have ports. They have to clean. My daughter got sick in the middle of the night a couple weeks ago, and I had to wash her with wipes because she had vomited on herself, and I couldn't wash her laundry. And it's awful. And I pray you guys make it right for the rest of our community. And that's all I have to say. Make it right soon for us.
Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Curley.
Thank you. Anyone else that's online that would like to speak? I see here an iPhone. I see your hand up. I'm gonna go ahead and unmute you. Perfect. Yes, go ahead, ma'am.
My question is primarily based on what we're paying. We pay every month. My husband and myself, we have arranged through our bank to pay X amount of dollars every month. And we have a credit of 376.26 right now. And I don't understand, number one, how my July usage was over 2,000 gallons when we didn't have water in July. I want to know if the company is going to reimburse me what I have credited already, because I paid them in good faith. I think they should reimburse me in good faith as well. We've never been contacted by the company. They said they've talked to people about what hours would be best to open the water. We shouldn't have to say we want to open it from this or that. We have a God-given right of water. These people from the water company took it upon themselves to build this system, but yet failed to do what is necessary to maintain that system. I'm just as angry as everybody else. I'm not in the best of health. My husband's not in the best of health. We can't do anything. We shouldn't have to go and do laundry somewhere else. We shouldn't have to go and get water from anywhere else. That's another thing. That tanker's gone again. We were relying on that tanker for fresh water to drink. I'm not going to be going and buying water when I'm already paying for water. That's all I have to say. Thank you, and I yield
Ma'am,
back.
would you please give us your name?
My name is Susan Quintana. My husband's name is Fabian Quintana. We've been living here since 2014.
Thank you, Mrs. Quintana.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Anyone else online, please either raise your hand virtually, or if you're on camera, just kindly just raise your hand so I could see if anyone else wants to speak.
When you were talking, they were off, you were, the voice was coming after, so I thought.
Let me go ahead and mute. Go. Let's see. Ray Collins. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and unmute you. Ray Collins, go ahead. Thank you.
I just want to just kind of reiterate what everybody else has said. I mean, I know it's kicking a dead horse, but one of the things that this situation and maybe everybody involved in the government side and the water company themselves, since they're not having to actually live through this situation, is the mental stress that this is putting on everybody. I mean, fortunately for me, my kids are grown and out of the house, but that doesn't mean that it's making, my life any easier with my spouse. I mean, at this point, it's a daily discussion on what our future looks like. Are we going to just have to abandon our house and forfeit our mortgage, and what's going to happen to us? And it's not going to involve the water company because they don't care, and it doesn't involve them. It doesn't concern them because it doesn't impact them. But this physical stress, the mental stress, it's I mean, it's taken its toll. And I just don't know how much more, we can tolerate, because everybody's tired and we're getting nowhere. And it seems like everything that we've read, I mean, because you guys have to realize that we go to these meetings. My wife was in Estancia last night at the meeting. We hear what's being said. We hear when EMWT tells us, well, we've requested this from the water company, but they're not providing it. We hear all that stuff. We know what's going on, but then we're being told to our face by the water company, oh, we're doing everything we can. When we know that's not a true statement. I just, like everybody else is saying, we're tired and this needs to get resolved, because it's not just a question of, oh, well, we don't have water to wash our dishes tonight, or we don't have water to do laundry. It's been a buildup, and everybody is really, really frustrated, and it's taken its toll on everybody and everybody's life, and eventually our livelihood. If I have to walk away from my house, one, where am I going just to go have water? But two, well, now I'm going to get sued because I had to abandon my mortgage. And our properties are worth nothing with no water. So, what do we do? And, everybody that's involved in this needs to understand there is urgency, and we really need this resolved. It's gone way past the point that it should have. Thank you.
Mr. Collins, thank you.
Anyone else online who would like to speak? Morgan, I see. Go ahead, Morgan. Let me go ahead and unmute you here. Thank you. Go ahead.
My concern is yes, the water is a really big issue, and I really hate seeing our community suffer. Is there going to be another truck, trailer, tanker to help out again in the meantime? I mean, how are some of these people going to be sustaining the lifestyle of just being ordinary people if we don't have the water? And I know that some of the people there rely on that tanker. Are we going to have another one pull up again? And if so, how soon? And I was at the meeting last night with the EMWT, and sounds very promising. I'm trying to stay optimistic about this approach. And I think that, yes, it's pretty much past the point where some people do not have the optimistic. But I really hope that this pulls through. But I'm concerned right now, as the meantime, when are we going to get in the truck in? Thank you. That's it.
Thank you.
Thank you. Brenda, you will be next.
So I'm sitting here watching, and I have a question for Tracy Padilla sitting there. How can you sit there and look like you don't care that you are making all of us suffer the way you are? Can you answer that?
Miss Brenda, I understand what's driving the question. I don't know that it's productive to put Miss Padilla on the spot like that and to make it something that I'm afraid will start to resemble a personal attack. With that said,
We've all been attacked by her negligence. When was the last time you all took a shower? Did you guys take a shower this morning? Because I didn't. I haven't had a shower since Monday because that was the last time we had water at night. I work during the day, and water being on from 10 o'clock to 2 o'clock does mean nothing because I have to work in order to make money to pay a bill that I'm not even getting water from. So when was the last time you took a shower? Probably this morning. I'm sure she washed her hair this morning because I didn't. Yet she sits there like she doesn't care. And she's given us that same attitude for the last 5 months that she doesn't care of what she's put us through. Anybody who treats a dog like this would be put in jail. There needs to be some human decency from her, and we've got absolutely none from her. And she doesn't even feel bad about it. You can see it in her face, you can see it in her demeanor, that she doesn't feel bad about it. She could care less what she's done to all of us.
Brenda, thank you.
Anyone else who would like to speak? I see Roy's hand up. Let me just make sure anyone who has not spoke yet gets an opportunity. I'm going through the list now. Okay. Go ahead, Roy.
So regarding the question that was brought up regarding contingency, the county, Torrance County, I attended several of the commission meetings and spoken to the emergency manager for the county. We need to have a declaration of emergency to be declared for our subdivision, our area. It is in desperate need. We need to have that done as of yesterday. Once that is done, that will release and free up state resources, such as National Guard, to be able to help provide water. There is a Army Reserve unit. There is a reserve unit that sets ready in Las Vegas, New Mexico, with the capability to be able to meet waters and do sustainment of water for this community. But in order to tap those sources, we have to have a declaration of emergency to be declared for our area. And everyone says, oh yeah, we'll do it. We'll work up. I haven't seen it done. It needs to be done. Just for the simple fact, like Bruce Sanchez stated about fire suppression of our homes. Our fire hydrants are dry. Okay. We can't even open up a water hose or garden hose if a fire breaks out on our property to even try to fight our own fire to protect our own homes. Okay. This also brings up another issue, which a lot of people don't realize, is security of our homes. When we have to venture out to go get water, and we have to venture out and be able to go take baths or showers or do laundry in other locations, that also adds an extra vulnerability to our homes. Do you not think the bad guys sit back and watch our movements and see the possibility of people breaking into our homes? I'm just surprised that hasn't started happening already. Okay, vandalism of our homes. Okay, it's going to happen. I've seen it too many times throughout the years. You know, like I said, I've been in the military. I was deployed for I was in the military for 23 years, deployed multiple locations, and I'm kind of able to adapt, but I shouldn't have to adapt. I was deployed to third world countries to where I had to adapt. I live in the United States of America. This is not a third world country. I have the right to be able to, at any time of the day, 24 hours a day, be able to go to my faucet, turn it on, and have access to water. It's human rights. We're having human rights violations right now. Okay, this is becoming criminal. All right, and I don't know if you realize that, but it is criminal. And it needs to be resolved like yesterday. I yield.
Thank you.
We have time for one more. Anyone else online that would like to speak? Oh, I have, let's see, it seems I have two individuals. I have Eugene and then Tracy. I'm gonna go with Eugene first, and then Tracy, you could go right after him. Thank you. Go ahead, Eugene.
Good morning. Good afternoon, neighbors. Eugene Barella here. Professionally, I do risk assessments. I'm an advocate for emergency planning to government operations and things like that. And I've been involved with that for 20 years. What's failed here to an underserved community, disadvantaged, is this bureaucratic bottleneck has only made them worse off. All of this could have been avoided by following emergency planning, which now it's a little bit too late. I would like to, if the decision makers are listening, is that immediately some technical assistance from the EPA. It would be like a practitioner to come in, help with this, and like a lifeguard at a swimming pool, come in and organize everybody's thoughts, efforts, and things like that. The EPA does offer that, and it's something in addition to emergency declaration coming from the state in otherwise to set some expedited completion. It needs to happen really, really quickly. Melody Ranch, I think it's the only community that I've ever seen that their town center is a feed store. That's special. They provide a lot of GRT to Santa Fe County, Torrance County, and things like that. They're special. Let's take care of them. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Barella.
Thank you. Tracy, let me go ahead. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Tracy Major from Senator Thornton's office. The senator is a little distraught of this situation going on with his constituents. We have been in contact with the PRC and our constituents constantly over the past 4.5 months over this. From what I've been hearing from the water company, it seems like we may have a long-term plan, but the question I have is, what is the short-term plan? What will be done now, today, getting water to the residents. And that's all I have. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Jordan, I believe we're running out of time. If there's anybody out there who would like to file a public comment in the case docketed for this matter, please get in touch with me, john.bogacco@prc.nm.gov. And my number, as many of you already know, is 505-500-6264. Thank you very much.